My name is Sloan Mercer. I'm 31 years old, and my mother is the line nobody crosses. I blinked, reading Noah's message again, like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something less brutal. They didn't. Toxic, dead to me, blocked. Because of what exactly? A slideshow flickered on the screen at the front of the room. Projections, trend lines, bullet points about Q3 churn. My brain replayed Sunday night instead. My mom's kitchen. The familiar smell of garlic and basil, the clatter of dishes, Noah's laugh echoing off the walls like he'd always belonged there. We'd been dating for 2 years. He stayed at my place 4 or 5 nights a week, ate most of his meals there, drove the car I bought him to the job he got after I rewrote his resume. My mom had waited until dessert, apple crisp, his favorite, before she asked it. "Sloan," she said softly, eyes flicking between us. "Sweetheart, I've been meaning to talk to you both about the grocery bill. Since Noah's here 4 nights a week now, would you two be willing to chip in, say, $50 a month to help with food? Just so it's fair." She'd said "you two," but I'd heard "you," and I'd already opened my mouth to say, "Of course, Mom." Noah beat me to it. He chuckled, but there was no humor in it. $50 a month? Over groceries? Seriously? Mom's smile dimmed, but stayed. "Well, it adds up, and I'm on a fixed income now, with the mortgage and utilities." "I'm your daughter," I'd said quickly. "If you need help, you just ask me. I'll transfer." "It's not about you, honey," Mom said. "Noah's here too. It's just grown-up stuff, everyone contributing a little." He'd gone quiet then, jaw tight, spoon abandoned on his plate. "She could have asked me privately," he'd said later in the car, when it was just the two of us, and the night pressing against the windshield. "That was passive-aggressive, doing it in front of you like that, like I'm some freeloader." "She didn't mean it that way," I'd argued. "She's on a budget, you eat there, I eat there, $50 is nothing." "Yeah, to you," Noah muttered. "You make good money. I'm still catching up. It was humiliating." I'd smoothed it over, the way I always did. Hugged him, told him she didn't mean it like that. Texted Mom later. "Sorry if that got weird. Noah's just sensitive about money. It's fine. I'll handle groceries for a while." I thought it was done. Apparently it wasn't. Across the conference table, my manager pointed at a bar chart. "So you'll see here, our retention for enterprise clients." I locked my phone, then unlocked it. The message stared back at me like it was carved into glass. "Your mother is toxic AF, and I blocked her number. She's literally dead to me now." I felt something go very still inside me. My mother had worked double shifts at 2 different jobs when I was a kid so I could have school supplies and field trips, and the $40 sparkly sneakers I'd cried over at age 10. She'd skipped dinners so I could have seconds, stitched my winter coat when the zipper broke instead of buying herself a new one. She'd never once called me toxic, not even during my worst teenage meltdowns. The idea of anyone saying she was dead to them made my skin crawl. I slipped my phone face down on the table and forced myself to stay through the rest of the meeting. Nodded when I needed to. Took a fake note or two so I didn't just sit there shaking. When it finally ended, I practically bolted for the hallway. In the quiet of the empty break room, I picked up my phone again. Another bubble had appeared. "Noah, just making sure we're clear. I'm not apologizing. If you're choosing her, that's on you." It was almost funny in a way. He really thought there was a scenario where I wouldn't choose her. I typed a single word. "Done." My thumb hovered over the send button for a long second. My reflection stared back at me from the black edge of the screen. Dark circles, tired eyes, the faint crease between my brows that had deepened over 2 years of "I swear I'll pay you back next paycheck" and "Can you spot me this month's phone bill?" I hit send. The message slipped away. 3 dots popped up immediately. "Noah, done what? You're agreeing with me, right? Your mom was way out of line asking me for money like I'm some freeloader." My heart thudded once, but my mind was very, very clear. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a different contact. "Hi, this is Dana with Atlantic Mutual," the woman on the line said, after a few minutes of hold music. "How can I help you today, Ms.?" "This is Sloan Mercer," I said. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. "I need to remove an authorized driver from my auto policy, effective as soon as possible." "Of course, Ms. Mercer. I can help with that. Which vehicle are we updating?" "The 2021 Honda Civic," I said. "Silver, VIN ending in 372. I'm the owner. The driver I need removed is Noah Brennan." She tapped at her keyboard. "And what's the reason for the change?" I looked out the office window at the slice of city sky, pale and indifferent. "We broke up," I said. "He's no longer authorized to drive my vehicle." There it was, said out loud. No going back. Understood, she replied. I'll process that now. The change will take effect at midnight tonight. After that, he should not operate the vehicle, as he will no longer be covered under your policy. Perfect, I said, and I meant it. Because here was the thing Noah never seemed to fully absorb. That Civic, the $24,000 silver Honda he drove to work every day, the one he told people we bought together, I bought it. Title in my name, insurance on my policy. I'd paid for it last year, when his ancient sedan finally sputtered its last breath on the side of the freeway, and he'd stood there defeated, calling me from the shoulder. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, Sloan, he'd said, voice breaking. I can't finance anything right now. My credit's trash. I'll lose my job without a car. So I'd stepped in, like I always did. Loan, I'd told myself. Investment in our future. If we got married someday, what was mine would be his anyway. Funny how fast someday can evaporate. After I hung up with the insurance company, I made my second call. Yo, my friend Gabe answered on the second ring. To what do I owe the pleasure? I need a favor, I said. You still doing early morning tow jobs? His towing company logo, grinning cartoon truck, flashed in my memory. Gabe had hauled my old hatchback out of enough tight parking spots to earn a permanent spot on my people to send Christmas cookies to list. Always, he said. What's up? It's my car, I said slowly, but my ex has been using it. Title's in my name. I need it picked up from my apartment complex tomorrow morning. Early, like 6 a.m. I'll leave the spare key under my doormat. He didn't even hesitate. Say no more. Where do you want it? Your lot, I said. I'll grab it later. I don't want him driving it once the insurance rolls off. Gabe whistled low. Rough breakup? You could say that. There was a pause. You okay, Sloan? I thought of my mom's hands, chapped from years of dish soap and cheap lotion, sliding a pan of apple crisp from the oven, of Noah's eyes going cold when she dared to ask for $50, of the words toxic and dead to me appearing on my screen like he wasn't talking about the woman who'd welcomed him into her home for 2 years. I will be, I said. I'm tying up loose ends. Got it, Gabe said. Text me the address. I'll send you a photo when the Civic's on the truck. When I got home that evening, the apartment felt wrong. Noah's hoodie slung over the back of the chair, his sneakers kicked off by the couch, the faint smell of his cologne mixed with my laundry detergent. It all made my skin itch. I pulled out boxes, packed his clothes, his shaving kit, his precious $400 hair straightener that he insisted gave him volume, his skincare routine that lived on my bathroom counter. Every jacket, every pair of shoes, every stray sock. I moved with a precision that surprised even me. Trash bag for the actual trash. Box for anything sentimental. Photos, cards, the concert ticket stubs he'd taped to my fridge as if that alone meant he was invested. By the time I was done, there were 4 boxes stacked by the door. His life at my place, condensed. I found the spare Civic key in the kitchen drawer, tucked under menus and rubber bands. I took a sticky note, wrote "For Gabe" on it, and slid the key under the doormat outside my front door. At 9:32 p.m., the lock clicked. Noah stumbled in, smelling like beer and cheap bar fries. His cheeks were flushed, his eyes bright with the confidence of a man freshly validated by his friends. "Babe," he announced, dropping his keys in the bowl by the door like nothing was wrong. So my friends totally agreed with me. They said your mom was way out of line. Textbook narcissist, honestly. He stopped when he saw the boxes. His brow furrowed. What's this?" "Your stuff," I said. He laughed. Actually laughed. "Okay, very funny. You're mad about the text. I get it. We can talk about it like adults, Sloan. You don't have to be dramatic." I leaned against the arm of the couch, suddenly exhausted. "I'm not being dramatic," I said quietly. "I'm being done." His smile faltered. "Done, like with the conversation, or sans?" "With us," I said. "We're done, Noah." For a second, he just stared at me, like I'd started speaking a language he didn't know. "You're breaking up with me," he said slowly, "because I set a boundary with your mom?" I felt something hot flare in my chest. "You didn't set a boundary," I said. "You called my mother toxic. You told me she's dead to you. You blocked her number. Over $50. Over being asked to contribute to the household you practically live in. She was being controlling," he snapped. "That's my boundary. I'm your boyfriend. I shouldn't have to pay to eat at my girlfriend's place." "Then you don't have to anymore," I said, "because you won't be eating here, or sleeping here, or driving my car." His eyes widened. "Your car?" "My car," I repeated. "Title in my name. Insurance in my name. You were an authorized driver, past tense. I took you off the policy today. effective at midnight. You're not covered. He took a step toward me. You're kidding. I'm not, I said. Your boxes are by the door. You can take them and go. His face went red. You can't just dump me over this, he said. We've been together 2 years. And you told me my mother is dead to you, I said. So we're dead too. It's not complicated. You're really choosing your mommy over me? He spit out, the word mommy sharp and childish. Every single time, I said, without hesitation. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me, like he'd been dating some softer, blurrier version of me who would always bend. I drove here, he said eventually. I've been drinking. What, you want me to get a DUI on top of everything? Uber exists, I said. Come get the boxes tomorrow when you're sober. I'm not letting you take my car again. Not tonight, not ever. This is insane, he said. You're going to regret this. I gave you the best 2 years of my life. I thought about rent I'd covered just this once, dinners I'd paid for, phone bills, the down payment on a car he'd treated like a birthright. No, I said softly. You spent the best 2 years of my life. There's a difference. He grabbed his keys back out of the bowl out of sheer habit, like his body hadn't caught up to the new reality yet. Then he seemed to remember. You are unreal, he muttered. Enjoy being a lonely little mama's girl. Better that, I said, reaching for the door, than someone who lets people talk about her mother like she's disposable. He snorted, shouldered past the boxes, and stepped into the hallway. You're going to crawl back, he said over his shoulder. Just wait. You'll miss me. I looked at the boxes, at the suddenly bigger, quieter apartment, at the woman in the reflection of the dark TV screen. I'll live, I said. Good night, Noah. I closed the door. The frame rattled when he slammed it from the other side. For a long moment, I just stood there, hand on the doorknob, listening to the echo fade. Then I walked to the couch, sat down, and finally exhaled. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Noah, you seriously did this over $50? You're insane. I put the phone face down. Somewhere in the dark outside, in a parking lot lined with quiet cars, a silver Honda Civic sat waiting with a spare key under the mat. At 6:02 a.m., it would no longer be his. And by then, neither would I. Gabe's text came in at 6:43 a.m. The sky outside my bedroom window was that washed-out blue that doesn't know if it wants to be morning yet. My alarm hadn't even gone off. I was awake anyway, my body still buzzing with the aftermath of the night before. Gabe. Got it. Civic is on the truck. This is going to be hilarious. He attached a photo. The silver Honda Civic hooked onto the back of his flatbed, rear tires lifted, my apartment building faintly visible in the background. I stared at the image for a long second. There it was, the car I'd paid for, the one Noah drove like it had come with the relationship, the one he assumed would always be his if he pouted just right. Mine again. I thanked Gabe, promised coffee on me next time he was near my office, and set the phone down. The apartment was weirdly quiet. No Noah snoring beside me, no extra shoes by the door, no trail of clothes from the bathroom to the bedroom because hang up your towel was apparently a human rights violation. Just me, just my life, just the hum of the fridge. I made coffee, I showered, I pulled on slacks and a blouse and my favorite small gold hoops, the ones my mom gave me when I got promoted. I moved through the morning on autopilot, but under the numbness was a strange lightness, like a tight band around my chest had finally snapped. At 8:27 a.m., the fireworks started. Noah, where the hell is my car? Another message, 30 seconds later. Noah, did you steal my car? I'm calling the police. This is Grand Theft Auto. I sat at my kitchen table, coffee warming my hands, and let myself enjoy the irony of that phrase. I waited until 9:00 a.m. because there was something satisfying about letting him stew. Then I typed, me, not your car. It's mine. Title is in my name. You're no longer authorized to drive it. It's been recovered. 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Noah, you can't just take it. It's my property. I've been paying insurance. I shook my head, something like a laugh catching in my throat. The revisionist history was almost impressive. Me, no, I've been paying insurance. You were an authorized driver on my policy. As of midnight, you weren't. You don't have a car because your access to mine ended when our relationship did. There was a long pause. I pictured him pacing in his apartment, jaw clenched, running his hands through his hair the way he did when he was thinking, which usually meant gearing up to blame someone else. Then, Noah, I need that for work. Me, you should have thought about that before calling my mother toxic and saying she's dead to you. Noah, you're insane. Me, I'm thorough. There's a difference. I blocked his number. Silence rushed in, clean and bright. It lasted 15 minutes. At 9:15 a.m., my phone lit up with an incoming call from a number I recognized. Brooke, his best friend's girlfriend, or ex-best friend's girlfriend, I supposed. Who knew how the friend group politics would shake out? I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, she called again. I sighed and picked up. Hello? What is wrong with you? Brooke demanded, skipping hello entirely. Her voice was shrill with indignation. You stole Noah's car? I stirred my coffee, leaning my hip against the counter. I took back my car that I was letting him use, I said. Not the same thing. He needs that car for work, Sloan. How is he supposed to get to his job now? Bus, I said. Uber, bike, teleportation. That's not really my problem anymore. You're being vindictive, she snapped. Over one fight with your mom? Seriously? You're going to ruin his life because you're a little mama's girl? There it was again. That word, mama's girl, said like an insult, like loving the woman who raised you was a character flaw. I took a breath. I'm not ruining his life, I said. He made a choice. Several, actually. He chose to live at my place half the week without contributing. He chose to call my mother toxic and say she's dead to him because she asked for $50. I chose to end the relationship and take back my property. That's called consequences, not vindictiveness. You're unbelievable, Brooke said. He's devastated. He thought you were his future. He should have considered that before he decided my mother was disposable, I said. Thanks for calling. Noah can pick up his boxes from my hallway after 6 p.m. if he wants his stuff. You're going to regret this, she said, and hung up. The thing about people who weaponize regret is they assume you have doubts, that there's still a part of you waiting to be convinced you're overreacting. I didn't. At 10:15 a.m., my mom called. My stomach tightened. Hey, Mom, I answered, trying for casual. Sweetheart, she said, and I could hear the tightness in her voice. I just got a call from Noah's mother. She was screaming. She says you stole Noah's car and threw him out on the street. The world tilted for a second. Of course he'd run to his mother. Of course she'd call mine. How did she get your number? I asked. Emergency contact list at your apartment complex, Mom said. She's persistent. I sank into a chair. Okay, so here's what actually happened, I said. That car is mine. I bought it. The title is in my name. I was letting him use it. We broke up. I took it back. He was never on my lease. He doesn't live with me. I didn't throw him out on the street. He has his own apartment. There was a pause on the line. I could hear her moving around her kitchen, the faint squeak of her slippers on the floor. She said you broke up because of me, Mom whispered. Because I asked him to contribute. She said I was being controlling and... Mom, I cut in, my throat tight. She said you were toxic. He said you're dead to him. He blocked your number. That's why we broke up. Not because you asked for $50. Because he disrespected you. Another pause. I imagined her sitting at the table, hand over her mouth, eyes shining. You, broke up with him over that? She asked quietly. You didn't have to, honey. I can handle people not liking me. I don't want you to be alone because of me. Something inside me snapped cleanly into place. If someone talks about you like that, they don't respect me either, I said. That's non-negotiable. I'm not going to build a future with someone who thinks my mother is disposable. I'd rather be alone. She drew in a shaky breath. I love you, she said. Love you more, I answered. We hung up. I sat there for a minute, staring at the wall, feeling anger and relief twist together in my chest, like two strands of the same rope. At 11:30 a.m., an unknown number flashed across my screen. I answered, wary. Hello? Is this Sloan Mercer? A woman demanded. Her voice was sharp, older, with the brittle edge of someone who'd gone through life used to people backing down. Speaking, I said. This is Noah's mother, she announced, as if she were a judge and I was a defendant. What you did to my son is illegal. You cannot just take someone's car. That's theft. I closed my eyes briefly, pinched the bridge of my nose. It's my car, I said. My name is on the title. I paid for it. He has zero ownership stake. Would you like me to text you a photo of the paperwork? She's been paying the insurance, she shot back. He told me. You took his car and left him stranded. He has bills. He has a job. I almost laughed. No, I said. I've been paying the insurance. It's my policy. He was listed as an authorized driver, past tense. I removed him last night. As of midnight, he had no right to drive that vehicle. I simply recovered my property before he could drive it uninsured. There was a beat of silence. I pictured her recalibrating, grasping for a new angle. You're a monster, she spat. He has responsibilities. He's going to lose everything because of you. You set him up. I didn't set him up, I said slowly. I honored my boundary. Your son chose to call my mother toxic and dead to him. I chose to end the relationship and stop subsidizing his life. If he loses things because he refuses to adjust to reality, that's on him. My lawyer will be in touch, she snapped. We're going to sue you for theft and harassment. Great, I said. My lawyer will enjoy that. Have a nice day. I hung up and blocked the number. By 2:34 p.m., my phone rang again. Different number, official sounding caller ID, City of Brookhaven Police, non-emergency. I answered. Hello? Hi, is this Miss Mercer? A male voice asked. Yes. This is Officer Jennings with the Brookhaven Police Department. We received a report of a stolen 2021 Honda Civic. Your name came up in connection with the vehicle. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I exhaled slowly. Sure, officer. He asked for the year, make, model, and VIN. I gave him everything, including where the car currently was, safe at Gabe's lot. And the title? He asked. In my name, I said. I'd be happy to provide a copy via email if needed. I purchased it last year. I have the bill of sale, too. Okay, he said. And the person who reported it stolen, what's their relationship to you? My ex-boyfriend, I said. We broke up last night. I removed him as an authorized driver from my insurance. He has no legal ownership of the car. There was the faint sound of typing on a keyboard. Okay, Officer Jennings said after a moment. So he doesn't have any documented ownership interest, and you're the sole registered owner? Correct. Then he cannot report the vehicle as stolen, the officer said. You're within your rights to repossess your own property, especially if you revoked his permission to use it. I'll close this out on our end. If he continues to harass you, you can file a separate report. A knot I hadn't realized I'd been carrying loosened. Thank you, I said. I appreciate your time. No problem, ma'am, he replied. Have a good day. When I hung up, I caught my reflection in the dark screen of my microwave. Hair pulled back, jaw set, eyes clear. 2 years ago, I would have folded under this much pressure. I would have apologized to everyone, absorbed all the fallout, told myself I was being too sensitive about my mom. Now I was different. Now I had spreadsheets, receipts, and a car title with my name on it. I had a mother who'd already sacrificed enough. I had a line no one got to cross. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I declined it and flipped the device over, face down on the table. Let them call. Let them scream. Let them draft all the angry texts in the world. I'd already made my choice. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like the grown-up thing wasn't giving someone another chance. It was letting their choices stand. The news came the next morning, dripping through my phone like a slow leak. I was making breakfast, eggs, toast, something normal to balance out the chaos, when my phone lit up with a contact I didn't recognize. Unknown. Call me now. It's about Noah. I ignored it. Then it rang. Same number. Same persistence. Fine, I answered. Hello? A frantic voice burst through the speaker. He got arrested. Are you happy now? I blinked. Who is this? Who do you think? The voice snapped. It's Brooke, and Noah just got arrested because of you. I closed my eyes and set down the spatula. What happened? She inhaled sharply, like she was gearing up for a monologue. He got pulled over this morning driving his sister's car, and when the cop ran the plates, they found out he had no insurance. None. They cuffed him on the spot. I let that sink in. He was driving his sister's car? I asked. Yes, she shrieked, as if that detail somehow incriminated me. And why, I said slowly, would he think he was insured to drive someone else's vehicle? Because you took him off your policy. He thought he was covered. That's not how insurance works, I said. He was only authorized to drive my car. Removing him from my policies doesn't magically cancel other people's insurance. He needed his own. He didn't get it. That's on him. No, she snapped. This is on you. Everything is on you. You ruined his life because your mom asked for $50. You're pathetic, Sloan. I had to laugh, not because it was funny, but because it was surreal. I didn't ruin his life, I said calmly. He chose to drive without proper insurance. That is a crime. He's 28, Brooke. If he doesn't understand the law, that's not my responsibility. You're cold, she spat. Ice cold. He loved you. He loved my free car, I corrected, and my free meals, and my free phone upgrades, and my free everything. You know what he didn't love? Respecting the woman who raised me. I hung up. I didn't even feel guilty. Noah's sister called an hour later. Angry, furious, swearing so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. She ranted about the impound fees, the bail, how Noah had borrowed her car for one day, and now they were stuck paying fines they couldn't afford. I let her talk herself out. Then I said, your brother drove illegally and got caught. I didn't force him into the driver's seat. You set him up, she screamed. Then sue me, I said and hung up. Blocked. Silence. That evening, around 6:10 p.m., my building's intercom buzzed. I paused mid-bite of dinner. 3 voices, loud, overlapping. Noah, his mother, his brother. Of course. I pressed the button. Yes? Noah's voice snarled through the speaker. You need to open this door. No, I said. Sloan, please, he said, voice swinging abruptly from anger to wounded. We need to talk. We already did, I said. Your boxes are in the hallway. Take them and go. His mother cut in, shrill and furious. You ruined my son's life. Do you hear me? Ruined him. He has a criminal record now. Court fees. He got fired, and it's all your fault. I kept my tone even. He got fired because he drove without insurance. That's illegal. Actions have consequences. You set him up, she screamed. You knew this would happen. I removed him from my insurance for my car, I said. He then chose to drive a vehicle he wasn't insured for. That part was all him. His brother's voice slammed into the speaker like a fist. Open this door and face me like a woman. I almost laughed. No, I said. Coward, he shouted. Smart, I corrected. The word you're looking for is smart. People like them thrived on shouting matches, storming hallways, browbeating. I wasn't about to give them the theater they wanted. Noah tried again. Sloan, come on. I lost my job. My sister hates me. Everything's falling apart. Please, let's talk. You should talk to a lawyer, I said. His brother banged on my door so hard the frame vibrated. Open up! I pressed the intercom again. If you don't take the boxes and leave within 5 minutes, I'm calling building security. You're heartless, Noah's mother screeched. She loved you. She wanted to marry you. She called my mother toxic, I said. She said my mother was dead to her. That's not love. That's disrespect. You'll be sorry, she snapped. I've been sorry for 2 years, I murmured. I'm done now. I hung up. A minute later, their pounding resumed. I called security. Yeah, I said. There are people harassing me outside my unit. They need to be removed. 5 minutes later, silence. Then a voicemail from Noah's mom, ranting about how I was a gold digger, a narcissist, and a heartless cow destroying a good man's life. Delete! The next 3 days were a circus. Fake 1-star reviews suddenly flooded my consulting business page. She scammed me. She stole my money. Dishonest and unprofessional. They were all written in the same style. I reported each one, all removed within days. 4 burner Instagram accounts DM'd me long paragraphs about how I was a monster and karma is coming. Blocked, 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 blocked. Someone tried to organize a protest outside my building. 3 people showed up. Security asked them to leave after 10 minutes. They left. Honestly, embarrassing for them. Then came the letter. A thick envelope in my mailbox, crisp and self-important. Certified mail. From an actual attorney. I opened it at my kitchen counter. It demanded $24,000 for the stolen Civic, $5,000 for emotional distress, $3,000 for constructive eviction, a written apology. I snorted so loudly I startled myself. Then I called my attorney. Mark, a no-nonsense guy who once got a refund from an internet provider that swore up and down they never issued refunds. This is garbage, he said after reading it. You own the car. You're the insured party. He was never on your lease. You didn't evict him. He wasn't even a tenant. He has no case. How much to respond? I asked. $500, he said. Do it. His official response was beautifully brutal. On attorney letterhead, my client owns the vehicle in question. Proof attached. Your client has no standing for any of the claims listed. Cease further contact with Ms. Mercer or we will pursue harassment charges. I mailed it back certified, then went on with my life. No response ever came. The silence tasted like victory. 3 weeks after the breakup, I was at my mom's house helping her repot some plants when her phone buzzed. She frowned at the screen. Honey, it's an unknown number. Don't answer, I said. But she did. She listened for 3 seconds. Then her face went pale. Sloan, she whispered. He's here. I stood. Where? On the porch. What? Mom, don't open the door. I'm calling. Too late. She pressed the phone to her chest and walked to the front door. I followed, close behind. Through the peephole, I saw him. Noah, crying, messy, stumbling, his face red and blotchy. He pounded once, softly, compared to before. Mrs. Mercer? Please. Please. I need to talk to her. I need to talk to you. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. My mother's voice was gentle but firm. Noah, you need to leave. You hurt my daughter, and you hurt me. Please, he sobbed. I lost everything. My job, my car, my whole life is ruined. I just need... "Mom," I whispered, "lock the door." She did. He tried the doorknob. Then he sat down on the porch, crying, rocking, begging. For 45 minutes. Mom trembled. I dialed the police. An officer arrived, issued a trespassing warning, and told Noah he'd be arrested if he came back. He finally left. Mom made tea afterward. Her hands shook as she poured it. "I hate seeing people broken," she said softly. "But you're right. This isn't love. This is something else." I squeezed her hand. "It's desperation, not remorse." And that was the end of his final card. Whatever he'd been hoping to salvage evaporated the moment he tried to re-enter my mother's life like he hadn't shattered the bridge himself. Final updates trickled in like distant gossip. He had 40 hours of community service, 1,200 court fees, mandatory SR22 high-risk insurance for the next 3 years, $280 per month, brutal. Lost his job, failed multiple interviews because the arrest appeared in background checks, moved back with his parents. His sister still wasn't speaking to him. His friends were tired of the drama. He now worked retail for $14.50 an hour, took the bus everywhere, and apparently posted vague, sorrowful quotes online like, "Losing someone who loved you unconditionally is the worst pain." The irony? My love was never unconditional. It was conditional on one thing, respecting my mother. He failed. The condition collapsed. So did everything else. I sold the Civic to my cousin for $18,000. He needed a reliable car, and it felt right to let the vehicle have a quiet, uncomplicated life from now on. I used part of the money to take my mother on a 4-day mountain trip she'd always dreamed of. Best $800 I've ever spent. The following weekend, I took her to a steakhouse. Good wine, soft lighting, linen napkins. "You didn't have to do this," she said. "Yes," I answered softly. "I did, because you raised me to have boundaries, and to protect the people I love." She cried a little. "Worth every penny. People still ask if I regret it. If I overreacted. If it was just $50. But here's the truth. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Noah told me my mother was toxic, that she was dead to him. That wasn't anger. That was honesty. That was who he fundamentally was. And if he could discard my mother that easily over $50, what would he do to me someday? What would he do to our future kids? I didn't overreact. I acted accordingly. The car was mine. The insurance was mine. The boundary was mine to enforce. The relationship was mine to end. And he earned every consequence he faced. My mom raised me to be many things. A doormat wasn't one of them. A daughter who protects her mother? Always. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can take the bus, just like my ex.